Well, welcome, Caitlin, and welcome anyone and everyone who may have been using these resources as a companion to reading Stanley Hauerwas's The Cross Shattered Christ, Seven Meditations on Jesus' Last Words from the Cross. Today, we're on the fifth word, and we're working through what would be in the book of chapter 5 and Hauerwas's fifth reflection. And it's a shorter, it seems to be a shorter reflection, and yet it seems to go for some broader theology or making some theological statements. So this morning, say welcome, and it's my turn to ask questions. So I'm anxiously awaiting learning more from Caitlin today. One of the things that struck me is that early in the meditation, the author referenced another theologian who said that doctrines such as these huge concepts like the Trinity and the Incarnation are intended to help us grow still on the inside, and they're intended to reflect the mystery of God. And when I hear the word doctrine, I usually think about practices of faith that say, boy, you got to know this stuff. These are the ideas about God. You've got to get in your head, and they don't change. And that kind of use of doctrine is different than doctrine as a container for stillness and mystery. And number one, I ran right over without asking if you had anything you wanted to say before we began, but please do. And then, do you see a disconnect between these ideas? And if you do, how might one help us understand what Jesus is doing or connect?
Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting part of the chapter. It was a very short chapter, where I think it's Rowan Williams that he references, and he is a treasure. Um, that we kind of miss the mark on understanding that we focus so much on being able to understand these doctrines of being able to spout them out that we miss the in our striving to understand them logically, we miss understanding them fully and understanding the mystery. And I think that's true. I've been thinking a lot lately about how much how we try to how we as ministers try to teach and to continually teach people scripture and doctrine and whatnot. But how much uh we aren't able to fully convey, and how much our good, wonderful church folk or former college students or whatnot still don't know, and how much we're still focused on training the very basic of doctrine, because I feel like you have to know in order to I'm not quite sure what the word is. Admittedly, I have a bit of a cold and I can notice that it's making my brain foggy. Been forgetting words today. Um, but I feel like we're so focused on this basic level that we don't ever get to quite take it to the next. And I think that's a bit of a shame. Just something I've been thinking about. I don't have an answer to, but been thinking about that a lot lately.
I think that's a wonderful answer, and I wish my mind, when it was fogged, could say such wonderful things. So, thank, thank you, seriously, thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, this whole sense of not having the answer
Yeah.
is hard to feel comfortable with, I think. So,
Yeah, and I think maybe we're focused on what we're trying to show people and teaching them doctrine is maybe giving them like tools and language so that they can be in the sandbox or be in the pool of mystery. Because I like images, but we don't always get to I don't know, walk with them as they open their eyes to it.
well, that's excellent. Yes, yes. It's maybe some of this is, I don't, I don't know, other than my own culture deeply, but I'm certain Northern European, um, Anglo-Saxon, whatever, Protestant work ethic culture
Yeah.
is, I've got to know this, I've got to pass the test, I've got to be an earner, a competitor, and that is not the culture of Scripture.
No, and that's not the culture of faith. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. That's excellent. So he goes on to say and remind us that in working from the Gospel of John, which is where the I thirst is coming from, that Jesus may be about something a little different, or John is trying to convey something different in the I thirst rather than just the human Jesus, which um, I always want to emphasize the humanity and the divinity of Jesus and lean into the for me, the humanity, because as I guess a correction of so much of my growing up that ignored the fact that
Yeah.
when Jesus walked on the road, he did get dirty, he did sweat. He was with people who are working hard. It's very earthy. How was I seem to hear him saying that in the context of the I thirst, that perhaps because it's the Gospel of John, perhaps we're over identifying with the human Jesus, maybe in a way to tame Jesus. Maybe there's been an overcorrection for some of us in trying to tame Jesus and his purposes. But I'm just wondering if you think that's true or not, and what might be done to help us encounter the deeper meaning of what Jesus is really trying to say and to do.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe this is where I differ from Hauerwas because I appreciate the reminders of Jesus's humanity, and so when he's trying to say that that we can't over-identify that as a or we shouldn't over-identify that as a human reaction, like, but I think that is so good, and I value that. I l- to me, it's sometimes hard to remember the humanity of Jesus, and to be thirsty is such a human thing. And to be thirsty at a moment of pain and vulnerability is such a human thing. And I think I need that reminder that God is not just a God of the lofty and of the unattainable, but that God is also here
Oh,
and
I,
in the
I hear that, and boy, I do hear that, and uh, maybe the correction for at least how I'm sensing too the chapter is a reminder that the deeper we go into faith, the better faith helps us hold two ideas or more in the
yeah,
same hand at the same time,
yeah,
which is back to that mystery. I don't know how that happens, but I know it's happening, and there's something that I feel like I'm being invited to in the mystery to hear Jesus
yeah,
out first. Yeah, that's excellent. It's also good. We don't have to, just because we're reading this doesn't mean we have to agree with everything. It's
yeah,
provoking thought and maybe helping, I hope, helping us grow a little bit. So thank you
yeah,
for
of
that. Yeah,
course.
thank you. Excellent. So, well, one more, and we hope this will be helpful for those who are reading the book in particular, because it's sort of I guess you could say, the application side of things, which I guess I kind of ignore at time because I just want folks to kind of figure out how does the story, the text fit for them. But mm, I think we do need some help here. I do. When you hear Jesus saying, I thirst, how might it inform how you live as a disciple of Jesus and as a person of faith who is helping others as a minister, as a leader in faith? How might the I thirst affect you?
Yeah. I don't know if this is a right train of thought or not, and I'm sure that there's plenty who would think that this is a strange train of thought. But when I hear I thirst, think of thirsting for justice and righteousness. And I'm reminded that God uh, longs for the wholeness and healing of broken relationships, of broken systems, of broken people. Um, and I hear those words of Jesus on the cross, and I'm reminded how much those those desires for people to be whole, to be able to live healthy and happy and full and beautiful lives. Um, how Christ is present in that thirsting, both on like a desire level and on a physical level. Um, No, I do think we thirst after things that are wrong. And so that's where I'm not sure about that metaphor, but that's immediately where I go to when I hear that phrase. And that's probably just, couched in reading like the prophets and the Psalms. And so to me, it fits biblically, so it's okay.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you for that. Jesus is one who was shaped by the prophets and the Psalms. So
Yeah,
this, yeah,
can't
this,
be too bad.
yes, yes, that's a
Uh,
a good place to go. So, wow, thank you, Caitlin, for informing my faith journey today, and thank others who are joining us on this journey. We hope that you will ask these questions to yourself as we go from week to week or session to session. How would Jesus, his words, "I thirst," um, well, how might they sound when you say them? We hope this has been a meaningful time. Uh, Being with Caitlin, hearing your thoughts, they shape and they make a difference. And thank you, friends, for joining us. And we hope to see you next time.